Welcome to Witches in Yoga Pants, your cozy corner of the cosmos where modern magic meets everyday life. We're here to explore magic, mindfulness, and personal growth with a grounded, no-fluff vibe. Whether you're into moon rituals, tarot spreads, or just trying to survive Mercury retrograde, you are in the right place. So get ready to disrupt some old patterns, explore what it means to reclaim your power, and remember who you really are. So pull up your yoga mat, light a candle, and let's get into it. Hello and welcome back. I'm really glad you're here. Today we're beginning a new series, this time exploring masculine archetypes, what they are, how they move through us, and how we experience them at different points in our lives. And just like we did with the feminine series, I want to start by grounding us in what an archetype actually is. An archetype is not a personality type. It's not a role you have to perform, and it's not something you choose once and then stay inside of. An archetype is a pattern of energy. It's a way that energy organizes itself and moves through the human experience. It shapes how we take action, how we relate, how we respond to pressure, how we create, protect, lead, connect, or withdraw. And just like with the feminine archetypes, we don't just pick one and stay there. We move through them, sometimes over long stretches of time, and sometimes quickly, depending on what life is asking of us. And often we're holding more than one at the same time. You might feel one archetype in your work, another in your relationships, and another in your internal world. You might recognize that you've been operating in one pattern for a long time, and now something is asking to shift. This is not linear. It's responsive. It's shaped by experience, by growth, by awareness, and by what's being asked of you in each season. And just like before, each archetype has a range. When it's grounded and supported, it feels steady, clear, and aligned. And when it's shaped by conditioning, pressure, or old patterns, it can show up in a way that feels forced, reactive, or disconnected. Before we go any further, I want to say something that feels important here. When I talk about feminine and masculine archetypes, I'm not talking about gender. You don't have to identify as female to experience feminine archetypes, and you don't have to identify as male to experience masculine archetypes. We all hold both. These are patterns of energy, ways of being that move through us. At different points in your life, you may find yourself in a more feminine expression, more receptive, intuitive, feeling-based, and at other times, more masculine expression, more structured, directional, action-oriented. Neither's better, and neither is a goal. This is about recognizing how these energies show up in you and how they move and shift over time. So, as we move through these, I'm not asking you to decide which one you are. Just notice what feels familiar, what feels present, and what might be shifting. Today, we start with 4 foundational masculine archetypes: the innocent, the lover, the provider, and the king. Let's begin with the innocent. The innocent is the energy of openness. This is the part of you that approaches life without armor, without strategy, and without needing to control the outcome. There's trust here, a sense that things can unfold without needing to be managed at every step. You might notice this energy when you feel hopeful, when you're open to possibility, curiosity, when you're willing to try something new without needing to guarantee the result. There's a kind of ease in this space, but there's also vulnerability, because the innocent isn't operating from experience or protection. In a grounded expression, this energy is trusting, present, and open. In a more strained expression, it can become naive, avoidant, or disconnected from reality. But at its core, the innocent is about allowing life to meet you without needing to control it. Next, we move into the lover. The lover is the energy of connection. This is the part of you that engages with life through presence, attention, and experience. It shows up in how you connect with people, but also how you connect with what you're doing. You might notice this energy when you feel engaged in a conversation, present in your body, or fully involved in something that matters to you. There's a sense of being here, not distracted, not pulled in multiple directions, but actually just present. This energy also carries desire, and I'm not talking about just in the romantic sense, but in the sense of wanting to experience life more fully. In its grounded expression, the lover is attentive, present, and connected without losing direction. In a strained expression, it can become distracted, indulgent, or overly dependent on stimulation or validation. But at its core, the lover is about being fully engaged in the experience of life. From there, we move into the provider. The provider is the energy of responsibility. This is where the masculine begins to take ownership, to build, to support, to create stability. You might notice this energy when you feel a sense of responsibility for something beyond yourself. It can be a project, a family, a business, a life you're building. There's structure here. There's consistency, follow through. The provider shows up, and not just when it's easy, but when it's required. In a grounded expression, this energy is dependable, steady, and supportive. And in a more strained expression, it can become overworked, overly identified with productivity, or disconnected from emotional and relational needs. But at its core, the provider is about creating and sustaining something that matters. And then we come to the king. The king is the energy of leadership. This is where everything begins to organize. When directions become clear, decisions are made from a place of authority and responsibility. The king holds the bigger picture. He's not just reacting moment to moment. He is aware of impact, of consequences, and what's being built over time. You might notice this energy when you step into a place of ownership over your life, when you stop waiting for direction and you begin creating it. When you make decisions, not just for immediate comfort, but for long-term alignment. In a grounded expression, the king is clear, stable, and rooted in responsibility without needing control. In a more strained expression, this energy can become rigid, controlling, or disconnected from others. But at its core, the king is about leading with clarity and responsibility. As you listen to these, you may recognize different parts of yourself, and you may see where you've been, where you're going, and where something is beginning to shift. And just like with the feminine archetypes, this isn't about defining yourself. It's about understanding yourself. In the next episode, we'll move into 4 more masculine archetypes that live a little deeper in instinct, challenge, and transformation. Until next time, notice where you're being asked to take responsibility, pay attention to where you're feeling engaged versus disconnected, and allow yourself to step into the kind of leadership that feels true for you. Take what you've heard today even further by joining my newsletter community. Each week, you'll receive journal prompts and reflections connected to the episode that are designed to guide you in bringing these conversations off the podcast and into your own journey. Let's keep going deeper together. The link is waiting for you below.